Welcome to Stoner Watch, and this is my open spoiler discussion for Falcon and Winter Soldier Episode 1, A New World Order. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button and click on that bell so you can be notified for future videos. And be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And wow, man, the second MCU show, Falcon and Winter Soldier, has dropped on Disney+. And I gotta say right off the top, man, this show was awesome. Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie reprised their respective roles as Bucky Barnes, aka Winter Soldier, and Sam Wilson, aka Falcon, from the MCU film series. Malcolm Spellman is the creator and head writer for this series, and Kari Skogland is the series director. Now we're going to get a total of 6 episodes all together when it's said and done. Now I got to say that's kind of like, disappointing, and seeing what the runtime that we got for our first episode this week, and it's probably what's going to set the pace for the next 5. They could have probably just done a movie at that point, but it is what it is. Now we get a runtime of 50 minutes for this episode, and just like WandaVision, like the last 7 minutes of it is credits. And for at least this week, there was no credit scenes for the series. Now that might change when we get later on down the road in the next 5 weeks, probably when it gets towards the end of the series, when they want to start giving like the next tidbit we got to look forward to next after this series ends. Now technically this series was supposed to be the first thing to hit on Disney Plus for the MCU, but because of the pandemic, things got shuffled up a little bit. Now this show takes place 6 months after the events of Endgame. Now remember, Falcon and Winter Soldier were blipped in the events of Infinity War. So like they're just now coming back after being gone for like 5 years. So they're actually dealing with that in this series. So that's kind of something in itself. Now also starring in this series along with Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie, we have Wyatt Russell, Erin Kellyman, Danny Ramirez, Don Cheadle, Emily Van Camp, George St-Pierre, Ada Pero-Odier, and Daniel Bruhl, just to name a few. Now, I'm pretty sure there'll be more characters added in as this series progresses, and as they get added in, I will announce them as we go along. We see at the beginning of this episode that Sam is struggling with taking on the mantle of Captain America that was bestowed upon him by Steve Rogers himself at the end of Endgame. He's also hearing Steve talk to him in his head.
How does it feel? Like it's someone else's. It isn't.
As he's trying to come with the decision on what to do, he decides not to take the job and turn in the shield, which the government then puts in the Smithsonian as a museum piece. Then what we find out later on in this episode, that was not their intention all along. They were just kind of talking him into it, and like they got what they wanted. They wanted the shield so they could take that and give that to their brand new Captain America, which we meet at the end of this episode, which I was kind of shocked that they actually did that like right off the bat, like in the first episode. I was not expecting them to do that in the very first episode. I mean, that was pretty awesome to see, and I can't wait to see what they do with this character. Now let's talk about that for a second. Our new Captain America is John Walker, played by Wyatt Russell. Now in the comics, John Walker was aka the U.S. agent, aka Super Patriot. Now I'm very curious on what they're going to do with this character in this series. Are they actually going to use that backstory for this guy, or are they going to bring up a whole brand new one, like reimagine it like they normally do for the MCU? I'm kind of really curious to see where they go with this. Now, it's kind of weird because like my very first Captain America comic book that I ever bought as a kid was the one where Steve Rogers left. He quit being Captain America. And here's the cover right here. Now, that was the first one I ever bought myself. Now, I went back and I bought a whole lot of back issues after that fact to learn more about the character of Captain America and more about this. Now, in that part of the story, Steve Rogers walks away from being Captain America, and America needs to have a symbol, so they end up getting another hero to take over the mantle as Captain America. Walks in John Walker. Now he takes it on for a little bit, but he has like some kind of a reaction to the super soldier serum. It kind of drives him crazy for a little bit, and he does a lot of things he's not supposed to. Eventually, Steve Rogers comes back and takes back the name Captain America, and then John Walker takes on name as U.S. agent in the comics. Now, like I said, I'm really curious to see where they go with this character. When we catch up with Bucky Barnes in this series, we find out he has to take mandatory therapy sessions as part of the conditions of his pardon that he received for his participation in the events of Endgame. Now, the scenes with him and the therapist in this episode were hilarious, or not really hilarious, but they were kind of funny because when he wouldn't answer her questions when she was asking about having nightmares and what have you, and he didn't really want to answer it, she goes to write down something, goes, oh, you're going to do the notebook thing? Now, I don't know what that really means, but apparently that's happened a lot since he's been getting therapy sessions with this woman. So maybe we'll find out more about that as this series continues, because we see in the trailer for this series that eventually him and Sam both are in the same therapy session. So I can't wait to see when we actually get to see those scenes, because they were pretty funny in the trailer, right? So I don't know. I mean, this was kind of neat to see because you get to see a little bit more, because you see he's does flashbacks and he thinks about stuff as he's talking to her. Then we also seen in a flashback in this episode where it was like a mission that he was on, and he was taking out this old guy and anybody that was there. And apparently there was this young guy that we saw that was there that he ends up taking out just because he was there. Now, part of his therapy, he has to make amends with people in his past. Now we see him do this where he actually tracks down this government official. I don't remember if the lady was a congressman or a senator or whatever, but he ends up tracking her down, and he helps the government with her because he actually put that lady in power. She actually worked with Hydra, so we see that he helps the government take her out. So I'm pretty sure that scored a few brownie points with the government. We also see that he's tracking down people that he thought he is wrong. Now, that young man that we saw earlier on in the flashback scene that he ends up killing, he ends up befriending the father of that kid because he feels bad for him. He doesn't tell the guy, but you can see that he wants to, and then we don't find out until he goes to visit the guy at his home, and that's when we find out it was the young guy we see him taking out earlier on in the episode. This is his dad, so that was it was really messed up to see that. You know what I'm saying? We also find out that Sam is working for the U.S. government, again, helping track down bad guys across the planet. We get to see a familiar face that we haven't seen in quite a while. George Batrock of the LAF terrorist group is back again. Now, the first time we saw him was in Captain America Winter Soldier, apparently moving up from hijacking boats to hijacking U.S. Air Force planes. Now, Sam is helping them trying to take back this plane from this terrorist group, and we meet First Lieutenant Torres for the first time. Now, apparently in the comics, this guy takes on the name of Falcon, as Falcon takes on the name of Captain America. Now, I have never read that comic, so I can't tell you anything about that storyline at all. After the mission, Torres tells Sam about another terrorist group that they've been tracking, the Flag Smashers, who believe that the life was better during the blip. Now, in the comics, the Flag Smasher was actually just a one-person character, but in the MCU, apparently it's going to be given to this group of people. At least one of them we've seen so far in this episode has superhuman strength. Now, I did not notice this until I saw a breakdown video earlier on today, pointing out that in the credits they showed the name Power Broker. Now, they're speculating that because they did that in the credits that they're going to bring this character, the Power Broker, into the MCU. Now, in the comics, that character was responsible for giving people like John Walker, aka U.S. Agent, super soldier serum so he gets his superhuman strength. So I guess we have to wait and see if that is exactly how that plays out. I don't know, man. It's kind of interesting. Again, some of these stories I did not read in the comics, so these are well after I stopped collecting, so all this stuff is new to me, and I just can't wait to learn all this new comic book lore that I didn't know before. I gotta say that the action sequences in this episode were just awesome, definitely MCU movie quality type stuff. I mean, from the CGI to that opening fight sequence that we saw with Falcon taking out the LAF terrorist group with the helicopters and everything, that was just awesome. We get to see Red Wing in this thing. He's just this little remote control, drone type thing, but in the comics, it was an actual bird. An actual bird. Now this time it's a drone, which makes a lot more sense. You know what I mean? So it was kind of cool. He has lasers, he has missiles and everything. I'm waiting for this scene to talk like he's R2-D2 or something. So I don't know, let you know think about that in the comments down below. So I don't know, man. This episode was awesome. It was a great kickoff to this series. Unfortunately, it's only going to be 6 episodes altogether, and we only have 5 left to go. I'm going to have to say right now, I read online that these episodes were going to average anywhere from 45 to 55 minutes, and they pretty much hit the sweet spot for this one, right down in the middle. So I don't know. Did you see Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 1? What'd you think? Let me know in the comments down below. What was your favorite part of this episode? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you have any theories or speculations that you got going on just quite yet? To me, I'm just kind of sitting back and kind of watching it and see what happens. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below.